Okay, next dinim over here in Kitzur are the dinim of the end of davening. Ashrei v'Letzion, the Yom, En Kalakenu, Aleinu, all the dinim of the end of davening. Okay, so again, the Gemara says whoever says Ashrei every day, especially if you say 3 times a day, you're guaranteed Olam Haba. The Ashrei. Or the Gemara calls it Tehillah David because that's really where it begins. So you have to have kavanah, especially when you say the pasuk Pesachas Yadecha, you should have the proper kavanah what the pasuk means. Then after Ashrei, you say between Ashrei and Volatzin, you say Lam Natseach, which is chapter 20 of Tilim. That in that day you don't say Tachnun, we don't say that chapter of Lam Natseach. But the previous Rebbe writes, you don't say it during davening, but after davening, before you say the Tilim for the day, you say chapter 20.
Why don't we say it during davening?
Because the Tachnun time is a day of a holiday, rather than telling God, you should answer us on the day of our affliction and, answer us. Okay, then you say Uvalatzion. Okay, then you have in the Uvalatzion, by the way, you have Aramaic, and you have Hebrew and Aramaic. So it says, even in Kitzur, it says the Aramaic you say quietly. You don't say the Aramaic loud. Whatever the Aramaic is in that tefillah of Uvalatzion, you say quietly.
How do we know which is Aramaic?
You have to know. No, I mean, there's certain parts I'll show you, but certain parts that are actually Aramaic. Okay, that you're supposed to say. Okay. At the end of davening, we say Aleinu l'shabeach. The problem is Aleinu l'shabeach. Everybody's already running out of shul, especially if you don't daven l'schari, you don't say Tilim. So by Aleinu, they're 1 foot out the door, and by the end of Aleinu, they're 2 feet out the door. Now, what's unique about the tefillah of Aleinu l'shabeach, Gemara says you have to be very careful with Aleinu l'shabeach. The one that instituted, this is one of the earliest tefillahs that we have as Jews, Yoshua ben Nun, when they captured the city of Yericho, as we say the walls came tumbling down in Jericho, Yoshua ben Nun, Yeshua instituted the tefillah Aleinu l'shabeach. There's this story the Friedrich Rebbe brings down. It's printed already in many different places, and it's a long, very long story, by the way. In the time of the Baal Shem Tov, there was a decree by the Goyim that the Jews can't say Aleinu l'shabeach. Because basically in Aleinu l'shabeach you say they bow to idols and we bow to Hashem. So the Goyish priests in the time of the Baal Shem Tov made a decree not to say Aleinu l'shabeach. And there was a very long story what the Baal Shem Tov did to nullify that decree. And it got to the point when that priest went up to institute this thing, he fell down and he died on the spot, and the decree became nullified. If you ever watched the Rebbe when he davened, not for the Yom, I'm saying even when he davened, so Aleinu l'shabeach has 2 paragraphs, right? V'alkein nekavalecha. So Aleinu l'shabeach, the Rebbe said regular speed, but Alkein nekavalecha, the Rebbe said he said very slowly. He saw Pashut because he started Aleinu l'shabeach. He saw him when he spit and he bowed. That was together with everybody else. Then V'alkein nekavalecha, he said it. Usually it ended up while they were still saying Kaddish after Aleinu, he was still saying it. The second paragraph. And the Rebbe said it very slowly. Why? I imagine because of its importance. Okay, but that's the importance of Aleinu l'shabeach. And as I mentioned, we mentioned many times, there's a worldly thing that 3 things came with a complaint to Hashem, and Hashem said, okay, I'll take care of you. So, the letter Sarai, before she changed her name to Sarah, so Sarai with a Yud at the end. So the Yud of Sarai came to Hashem with a complaint, you took me away. I was a letter of Sarai. So Hashem said, don't worry. Until now you were the last letter of a woman's name. I'll make you Yehoshua. When Hashem changed it, Moshe Rabbeinu changed his name to Yehoshua. I'll make you the first letter of a man's name. Okay. Then he said, Aleinu l'shabech came with a complaint to Hashem. Aleinu Shabbat said, everybody's running out of shul. Aleinu, they're already out the door. What do you want from me? So Hashem said, you know what? I'll put you in the middle of the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur Musaf, and everybody will sing it, and they'll all bow in the middle of the davening. You'll be it's a big macher. And then the third one came and said to Hashem, it was a mamzer. A mamzer, illegitimate child, came with a complaint to Hashem, said, what do you want from me? What did I do? I didn't do anything. It's my parent. What do you want from me? What did I do wrong? So Hashem said, don't worry. You're a mamzer, I'll make you the president of the shul. That's what Hashem said, don't worry, I'll make you president of a shul. But Aleinu Shabbat really is a very important tefillah. It should be said properly.
And whenever we go and somebody say, we have to say which.
Yeah, to the extent, if you walk into shul and the minyan, you davened already, the minyan says Aleinu, you have to say Aleinu with the minyan. The only question in halacha is, how much of the Aleinu do you say? Both paragraphs, the first paragraph, many opinions say the first paragraph is enough. Other people say you have to say the whole thing. Whatever it is.
All right. If you're ahead and you're gonna not skip it and say, let's say, put it on Tehillim, should you do that and so you don't say it twice, or should you just go ahead and in sequence say?
You mean if it happens once a lifetime that you came late in shul and they're already by Aleinu?
No, you want to go ahead before them.
No.
Before they say Aleinu. Should you go ahead and say your Aleinu, or go ahead and do
No, you say it in order. There's an order to davening.
So you do say your own, and then when they say it, you should say it again.
Yes,
before that.
yes. Depending where you're up, yeah.
No. So you shouldn't skip yours to say it
No.
once.
No. Okay, when a person leaves shul, you're not allowed to run out of shul. You have to walk slowly. Many people have a minute. It's not our custom. Many people have a minute. They even walk backwards out of the shul. It's not our custom, but it's brought down in halacha. But if you're going from a shul to a mitzvah, then you're allowed to run. If you're going to learn or to do another mitzvah, then you're allowed to run out of shul. Okay, next din over here is the din of what's called Kaddish Yosim, the mourner's Kaddish. There's a lot of dinim, believe it, involved in the whole concept of the mourner's Kaddish. In fact, even Kitzur says there's a lot of stories in Medrashim about Kaddish. The original Kaddish, by the way, was instituted for orphans under Bar Mitzvah. That was the initial institution of Kaddish, was basically for orphans under Bar Mitzvah who couldn't daven for the Yom, they couldn't be the Chazan, so therefore they had the opportunity to say Kaddish. Now, through this, that a child says Kaddish for a parent, he saves the parent from a lot of punishment in Gehenna and in various different places. Now, just to go off a little bit, what happens if a father, before he dies, says to one of his sons, he says to his son, I don't want you to say Kaddish for me. I don't want you to say Kaddish for me. So then in Shulchan Aruch it says, the poskim write him, you listen to him, then he doesn't have to say Kaddish. But, if let's say there's 3 boys, and the father says to one of them, I don't want you to say Kaddish, then you don't listen to the father. Why? Because Mela, nobody's saying Kaddish. Okay, they're not saying Kaddish. But if 2 brothers are saying Kaddish, and one brother isn't, people are going to say, what, is he a legitimate child? Is he a mamzer? What, it's not his son. So therefore, because the son then gets embarrassed, so then the halacha is that you have to. But there is another interesting shaila in halacha. The purpose of Kaddish is kibbut avayim, or not to embarrass the father, so to speak. Not to be mavazed the father, embarrass the father. So one second, let me just finish this point. So what's the difference, halachically? If a kid says, I don't want to say Kaddish, I don't want to say, can Bezdin force him to do it or not? If it's only because of honoring your parent, halachically, you can't force a child to honor his parent. Bezdin can't. He has a mitzvah to do it, but Bezdin can't force him to honor his parent. So if the mitzvah of Kaddish is to honor the parent, then Bezdin cannot force him to do it. If it's not to insult and embarrass the father, that's a negative command, that's a negative issue, and then Bezdin could force him to do it. So that depending if the Bezdin can force the kid to say Kaddish. What?
it's a very big thing for the neshama that a person says Kaddish for this person, so he might not know what.
I'm saying you have to explain it to him and you talk to him and he still refuses.
I'm saying, okay, all that. But if, let's say he says no, but the bottom line is, we know better that it's a very big benefit.
So therefore?
That's why they should say it, is what I'm saying.
But the kid doesn't want to, what do you mean?
No, not that case.
Can I just
said
rephrase this question?
I'm talking about a general case where the father says, no, I don't want you to say Kaddish for me, is what I'm saying.
The father has the right to say it. The father has the right to sell his child. You don't have to honor me. The father has the right to tell his kid, you don't have to honor me. What?
So I just want to rephrase the same question. When the person was on earth, with the Yitzhak or whatever, lack of knowledge, when the neshama is up there, for sure, the neshama wants the children.
It doesn't matter. You go by what he wants, what he wanted when he said it.
Goes ahead and says Kaddish, he's doing something wrong.
It's very possible. It's very possible.
Why is that? Because, like, for example, if the father doesn't know, says, God forbid, I want him not to be burial, you don't listen to the father.
So it's cremating or...
Right, exactly. So why would you not...
You don't listen to
First of all, one thing has nothing to do with the next. One thing is that it's forbidden for a Jew to be cremated. And even Halachos says a guy also shouldn't be cremated. Not that it's forbidden like a Jew. A Jew is cremated, there's no Shiva, there's no Kaddish, there's no Yartzeit, there's no Olam Haba, there's nothing. Some people want to say, if you didn't know, Tinik Shenish, but that's a very debatable issue in Halachah. But that is one thing. Saying Kaddish is an obligation on the son. It's not an obligation on the father. If the father says, I don't want you to say Kaddish, the son doesn't have an obligation to say Kaddish. Could he, if he wants to? He probably could say, you could say Kaddish whatever you want. You could say Kaddish in the world. And especially if he doesn't have a parent. It's like kids that have parents don't say Kaddish because of Ayin Hara. Because if somebody will see this child, this man, or whatever, saying Kaddish, they'll think he doesn't have parents. And that's disrespectful.
Isn't it true that we are not supposed to listen to our father if it goes against Torah?
But the question is, if Kaddish is a form of honoring the parent,
Yes, it is.
yeah, but the father could say, I don't want you to honor me.
But he doesn't understand. We are pushing.
Let me ask you a question. I'll give you an example. There's a din Shulchan Aruch that you have to recline on Pesach. Yeah? Recline on Pesach, by the Seder. In front of a Rebbe, you don't do it unless if he gives you permission. By a parent, you do it. Why? Because we assume the father let you do it. He's meichel on the covet. He's meichel on the covet that you don't have to be sit with all in front of him. So there's certain dinim a father could be meichel on.